Whenever the conversation turns to the dangers of AI, there's this one story that always seems to pop up, and it's over 200 years old. So, let's get into it. Why is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein still the go-to reference for our worries about artificial intelligence? Turns out, the parallels are, well, they're more relevant today than you might think. This isn't just some old monster story. Nope. It's basically the original blueprint for our biggest fears.
Okay, first off, just think about our language. The book's influence is so huge that its name is now literally a part of how we talk. That prefix, Franken, it's become this instant shorthand, right? It's a catch-all term for that feeling of anxiety we get about science, especially when it starts messing with what it means to be human.
And you see it everywhere, right? We've had Frankenfoods for years and all those GMO debates. Then you started hearing about Franken algorithms running our lives online. And now, of course, it's Franken AI. It's the term people use when they're worried or sometimes when they want to dismiss those fears. It just goes to show you how perfectly Shelley nailed a fear that's still with us centuries down the road.
So that leads us right into the first big parallel here. And it's a classic one, the danger of ambition, of science going too far, pushing right past all the ethical lines. Yeah, we're talking about the whole playing God thing.
And at the center of it all, you've got Victor Frankenstein himself. He's not just some character in a book. He's the archetype, right? The original mad scientist, totally consumed by ambition. This is the guy whose own genius and drive push him to create, but he never once stops to think, hey, maybe I should consider the consequences here.
And here's where it gets really interesting when you put them side by side. In the book, Victor's crazed ambition is a direct nod to the myth of Prometheus, the guy who stole fire from the gods and paid a heavy price. Now jump to today, what do we hear? The exact same fear, that in building super smart autonomous AI, we're basically doing the same thing. It's a new kind of playing God, and we have no idea what the consequences could be.
And that ambition, that act of creation, well, it leads directly to our second big theme. Because once you've created something, the next fear is, what happens when it doesn't need you anymore? It's all about losing control.
This is the central question in half of all science fiction, isn't it? But here's the thing, it's not just fiction anymore. It's a very real question we're asking ourselves right now. What does happen when the things we build can think for themselves?
So in the story, Victor creates this being, and the second it's alive, he's absolutely horrified. He just rejects it, runs away. And that one act? That's what sets the creature on its path of revenge. It's the ultimate science gone wrong moment. The parallel with AI today is, well, it's pretty chilling. This deep-seated fear that an AI could develop its own goals that don't line up with ours, and lead to something truly terrifying that we just can't shut down.
And honestly, this is a huge reason why the story still feels so modern. Think about it. Mary Shelley looked at the cutting-edge science of her time, stuff like galvanism, electricity, anatomy, and she was the first person to spin it into a story that really dug into the ethical mess it could create. She basically invented science fiction as we know it. Pretty amazing?
But this is where the story gets even deeper, I think. It's not really just about a monster on the loose. It's about the failure of the creator. And that brings us to our third big point, the responsibility of the person who made the thing. You could even call it the sin of abandonment.
So here's the real gut punch of the novel. The central tragedy isn't the monster. It's an act of parental abandonment. If you look at it that way, Victor isn't just a mad scientist. He's a terrible father who rejects his own child at the moment of its birth.
Yeah, the book is super clear on this. The creature was born good. He was curious, he was capable of kindness. It's only after being rejected, first by Victor, then by literally everyone else, that he becomes a fiend. And wow, the lesson for us today with AI, it's huge. It's this massive reminder of the moral, ethical weight on the shoulders of the creators. You have a responsibility to guide and, to care for the powerful things you bring into this world.
The director Guillermo del Toro, he put it so perfectly. He said the creature was just an outsider who felt out of place. And that feeling of alienation, that's something we can all understand. It's a reminder that this isn't just a monster story. It's a story about what it feels like to be an outcast, to be completely misunderstood.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. What are the big warnings from this 200-year-old book that we really need to hear right now as we're building this new age of AI?
When you boil it all down, it really comes to three key things. Number one, watch out for that unchecked ambition, the kind that doesn't care about the consequences. Number two,
You have to plan for the possibility that you might lose control. And number 3, maybe the most important of all, you have to own up to the huge moral responsibility that comes with creating something so powerful.
At the end of the day, the reason we still talk about Frankenstein is because it's so much more than a monster story. It's a timeless, deeply human story about the ethics of what we build. It's the story that first dared to ask the question that we're still wrestling with today. Not just, can we do this, but should we?
And that really leaves us with one big final question, doesn't it? As we step into the role of creator, building this next generation of intelligence, are we going to do a better job than Victor Frankenstein? Or are we just setting ourselves up to repeat his tragic failure? Something to think about.